Tom Cruise may be one of the craziest actors working in Hollywood right now, and that's largely due to his obsession with doing all of his own stunts. The payoff includes some of the best action sequences in the business. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to count down with us the craziest moments in the Impossible series. Before we get started though, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell to stay up to date with everything Screen Rant.
Whole sequence he's been training for well over a year. He's going to be doing all of his own flying.
The helicopter scene. The helicopter scene in Mission Impossible Fallout could have easily been filmed in a studio or with a professional stunt double, but Tom Cruise isn't gonna let anyone do the hard work when he can deliver the goods. So Cruise did the only sensible thing and learned how to fly a helicopter in order to do the shot. Cruise learned how to fly a helicopter in a matter of months while the crew developed special camera rigs to show us he really is flying on his own through a mountain passage. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, Cruise also dangled from the side of said helicopter as his character attempted to commandeer the vessel in the sky.
Oh my god.
The final result is one of the most nail-biting sequences ever in action movie history, the Halo jump. High altitude, low opening, or HALO, is an extremely dangerous jump from an airplane that requires the jumper to wear a specialized suit to aid with breathing. Generally, it's reserved for specialized military personnel. Normally, when films have this kind of sequence, it's used with doubles or inside a studio. Tom Cruise, however, decided he was going to be the first actor to ever be filmed doing a Halo jump on camera for a film. The stunt was a part of the filming for the recent release of Mission Impossible Fallout. The jump took place at over 2,500 feet, and Cruise had to wear a specialized prop helmet that would prevent him from getting oxygen sickness. The time of day and weather were edited in post, but the jump itself was for real.
What about hanging off the side of an A400? I said, all right, yeah, let's do it.
Hanging off the side of a plane. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is one of the craziest films in the franchise, and it wastes no time in showing you how crazy it is. The film opens up in the middle of a mission, and Ethan Hunt has to intercept a cargo plane. But he's a bit tardy, and the plane is already moving. So he does the only sensible thing, jumps on the plane and hangs on as the plane takes off. Cruise was attached to a safety cable, which is a good thing considering how crazy this stunt is. Bearing in mind the speed of the plane and the force of the winds pinning Cruise down while doing the shot, we can agree this is one of his craziest stunts ever.
Where's Ethan? You gotta be kidding me.
Climbing the Burj Khalifa. Easily a high point of the entire franchise is when Tom Cruise climbed the Burj Khalifa skyscraper in Ghost Protocol. This was one of the craziest stunts Cruise has ever done. The scene could have easily been replicated with sets and CGI, but that wasn't good enough for Tom Cruise. Using support cables, Cruise was able to scale and swing around the high-rise, which peaks at 830 meters to the very top. The actor had an earpiece to take directions from Brad Bird, and the crew had camera rigs jutting out of the windows to get some of the incredible shots. Motorcycles. Aside from running, a Tom Cruise movie just doesn't feel complete without an awesome motorcycle sequence. The Impossible series has quite a few of these, and they're all amazing. But if we had to pick one, it'd have to be the Moroccan chase sequence in Rogue Nation, where Cruise is riding a bike over a mountainous and curvy highway at high speeds without a helmet. While he also speeds through Paris in Fallout, having the scene set over the cliffs and curves of the mountains at breakneck speeds makes this scene even more thrilling than the big city chase with all the traffic obstacles.
The cliff was 2,000 feet high. There was no protection on the ground.
Cliff climbing at Dead Horse Point. Mission Impossible 2 may be directed by the great John Woo, but it generally ranks as the least favorable among all the films in the series. But that doesn't mean the film is devoid of awesome stunts. The movie actually hits the ground running with an impressive sequence that would rattle the minds of most mortals. Cruise scales the Dead Horse Point cliffs in Utah using only his hands. Like most of his super dangerous stunts, he had a very small safety cable, just in case, but he adamantly refused to use any sets or safety nets when doing the awesome sequence. Not only did he save some money on editing out nets in post-production, but the resulting footage made the film sequence feel even more impressive.
You have to overtrain for a sequence. We are doing up to 6.5 minute breath holds.
Deep breath. As Tom Cruise stated in a featurette for Rogue Nation, most actors on set hold their breath for around 10 to 15 seconds when doing an underwater sequence before an oxygen supply is given to them. Cruise felt compelled to show everyone he can do the underwater tourist scene in Rogue Nation for much longer than that. While the tank details were green screened later, in order to control the lighting in the turbine, the water tank itself was very real, and Tom learned how to hold his breath for 6.5 minutes for the scene. While the scene itself isn't one take, the fact that Cruise went out of his way to learn how to deep sea dive with experts shows his commitment for excellence.
Knife literally was probably a quarter-inch from Tom's eyeball. He did do that part with a real knife.
Knife to the eye. In the climax of the second Impossible film, Cruise's Ethan Hunt finds himself in a showdown with the villainous Sean. The two engage in a martial arts fight scene that's cut short when Sean draws a knife. At one point, he pins Hunt down and we see the knife held in place a quarter of an inch from his eyeball. That shot was done for real, and Tom was okay with it. The secret lies with what you don't see outside of the frame. The knife, which was real, was attached to a precision cable that was measured to a quarter of an inch from Cruise's eye. When Sean swung the knife down, the cable would lock the knife in place, a quarter of an inch from his eyeball. Talk about having faith.
Are you okay to drive? I mean, a minute ago you were dead.